joined today by Mike Rosenstreich, the Managing Director of Hexagon Resources. Mike, thank you for your time. We're keen to get an update on the McIntosh project in northern Western Australia, and in particular the preliminary test work you've been carrying out. The concentrate you plan to produce at the McIntosh site, this is not battery ready, is it?
No, David, it's not. Just take a step back. A short while ago we announced the results for our pre-feasibility study, and what we announced in that was we demonstrated the viability of our project to produce around 100,000 tonnes a year of a high-grade, high-purity flake graphite concentrate. Now that concentrate then becomes the feedstock to a whole lot of other purposes, industrial, or in our case, lithium-ion batteries. And so then you take that concentrate, and if you want to make it suitable for use in batteries, you do three things to it. You spherinize it, which is where you reduce the size and make it into round shapes. You purify it using either acids or high temperature, and then you use some sort of specialist, often proprietary coating techniques, and then it's what we call anode ready.
What is the significance of this battery test work? Can you tell me more about the results that you describe as so positive?
Look, the battery test work is actually very significant simply because this is the first time that we've used the concentrate that we created from that 2.5 tonne bulk sample that we completed earlier this year. So this is the first time that we've actually tested concentrate material, and then we've undertaken a series of battery related tests on the spheroidized product. Now what's important in our report is that we're actually reporting 6 key criteria which are sort of like a gateway as to whether your material is suitable for batteries or not. And we're all really pleased and excited that we passed on all of those 6 gateways. And in our report we've taken pains to explain what those 6 tests mean: surface area, particle size distribution, BET and things like that, because I'd like readers to understand one, as a reference material, but also how all of these factors are very much interrelated, and how it's critical that if you're going to report on battery test work, you actually have to report on all 6 criteria because of this interrelation between them all. Now, one of the other aspects of this test work and why we've passed ourselves or given ourselves a pass mark is because we're basing that on the specifications which we've obtained from one of the major battery manufacturers. So we're not self-assessing here. Our pass mark is actually comparing to an independent set of specifications. And finally, look, one of the things that I think people have misunderstood with this test work is, and I was asked by a shareholder a week or so ago, haven't you done all this test work before? And the key thing is, the answer is yes and no. Yes, we've done test work of this nature before, but on the flake concentrate, not on the spheroidized product. So this test work now relates to a material that truly reflects what an anode ready material would look like, not that primary flake concentrate.
Why not just sell concentrate? That's what many base metal producers do.
Sure. Look, my understanding of the graphite market is that every downstream processing step there's quite significant increment in the pricing point or the value, and let's crudely call it a doubling. I've got a history in the base metals industry, and generally when you're selling base metal concentrates compared to metal, there's sort of a 15 to maybe 30% increment. So you can see there's orders of magnitude difference in terms of selling a concentrate as opposed to selling a product that's been subjected to secondary processing, such as that battery test work that we've just reported. In every additional processing step in graphite, you need to be absolutely sure that what you're processing and the outcome is what your customer wants. So it is a long, rigorous process. But you know what? Once you finish that process, you actually join quite an exclusive club. And both parties have invested a significant amount of time and money into that relationship. So it's a very worthwhile process, an important process to be in.
So break it down for us in terms of sales strategy. What are you going to sell and to whom?
Well, according to our pre-feasibility study, we're going to be producing about 100,000 tonnes a year of a high-grade, high-purity flake graphite concentrate, ideally suited for the lithium-ion battery. We think we can do better than that. We would like to get involved in that secondary processing, especially since we've got these great results from our battery test work. And as you continue that downstream processing step, there's an increment in pricing value or multiples at every step of that process. So that's where we'd like to go. We've got a pre-feasibility that says flake concentrate for the lithium-ion battery, and then we're now doing additional work to look at secondary processing, in this case into the battery industry.
For a little while now we've been hearing you talk about expandable graphite. Where does this fit in?
Yes, look, not long after I got involved, when you look at the mineralogical data of our flake, and you also look at the flake size distribution of the concentrate from our test work, it's pretty clear there's about a 30% population of material that's greater than 150 microns. Over 150 microns, you're getting into that larger flake market, or the expandable graphite market. And I would like to explore through test work our ability to be producing perhaps 30% of concentrate that would be suitable for that expandable market. Expandable graphite is also a strong growth sector. It's used a lot in the electronics industry as well as more traditional industrial uses.
What is the impact of that?
Well, simply price and diversification. Concentrate for expandable graphite gives a higher price than concentrate for that spherical graphite. And then in terms of diversification, we're exposed to not only the lithium-ion battery, but we're also exposed to the sort of the tech and the expandable graphite market. In terms of a marketing strategy, let me give you a little bit of example of how that works. In our pre-feasibility study, we said that our operating cost is around about $1,000 per tonne of concentrate. Those are Australian dollars. Now that's too high, and we've already explained how we are very confident we can bring that price much, much lower. But let's work with that number because it's a round number. So that means to produce 10 tonnes of concentrate, we're going to spend $10,000. If we sell 3 tonnes of concentrate of expandable material and get about $3,000 a tonne for that, that means that we've already covered off 90% of our operating costs. That leaves us 7 tonnes of concentrate suitable for the lithium-ion battery market to make up that 10% or that $1,000 operating margin, as well as generate our operating surpluses. Even if on the pessimistic forecasts, even if we only get $1,000 Australian a tonne for that spherical material, that gives us an extra $7,000 of revenue, and that gives us an operating margin of around 60%. So you can see how to have that mix of products really boosts the operating revenue. And that's why we're going down that path.
Thanks, Mike. It's very interesting to get that update, particularly in terms of your overall marketing strategy.
Thanks, David. Look, we're currently doing the test work to underpin those marketing ambitions. And what we're trying to demonstrate is viable, consistent production from a large-scale project, producing initially a concentrate product suitable for lithium-ion batteries and potentially also for the expandable graphite. And you know what? All with that Made in Australia McIntosh brand.
So Mike, thank you for your time.
My pleasure.